Good evening, afternoon, or morning.
Whoa. I didn't do the clap for the editors.
Whatever. You can clap afterwards. They can sync at any time.
Well, it was the clap to let them know we were starting recording to cut out all the beginning stuff.
They know it started. It started now.
And now.
Welcome to Go, my favorite sports team. We have an emergency here. Tyler has yet to discover the most badass shooter at the Olympics in Paris.
Apparently, I thought it was the star that we didn't know of from, what is it, Turkish? The Turkish shooter? I thought that's who you were talking about.
No, not at all.
I thought for sure you were talking about the man who literally looks like a hitman, pulls up with his glasses, no special equipment, sticks his hand in his pocket and shoots and gets a silver medal and is like, I did it because my wife told me to.
Yeah. No one cares. No one cares. Let me tell you about Kim Yeji. There's, I'm trying to find the exact video that, like...
Are we going to be allowed to show the video? Or is this part of the Olympics?
I think it's fine.
Not even a reaction to being a world record holder. Hold on.
It's so many things about this just like look badass as hell. It's the cyberpunk gear, it's the casual stare, the making it safe, the just looking it, and the fit. It's just so fucking, it's great.
Dude, the fit for the shooting sports in the Olympics this year are insanely cool.
I know. But like, if you watched there, if you have access to coverage of the Olympics, it's the 10-meter shooting. I believe it's women's, although
10-meter pistol.
Yeah, I believe it's women's and males, which doesn't make any sense. Their scores are actually almost equivalent.
This is what I meant by like women and men are equivalent in the shooting sport.
Yeah, exactly, because it's aim and it's like everyone's able to do this equivalently. There are many shooters in there on the women's side that could beat the men on the men's side. The top scores in both categories are almost the same. And so with her in particular, there was a huge wave that was just like, what the fuck is this? No one paid attention to air pistol. Not a person paid attention to air pistol until posts started circulating about Kim Yeji, and there was a Twitter post that was just like I've never seen such main character energy. It was like clip there of how just casual it is. And there's a reason for why so casual. You're trying to get your heart rate down. That's the main thing about shooting and archery and any of those events in general is get your heart rate down.
Yeah, breathing control, all of that, so that there's less shake, less like movement of your body. The lower you can lower your heart rate, the lower you can lower your respiratory rate, are less muscles that are moving. It's about relaxing every part of your body except for the muscles necessary.
And there's another rule. They don't allow you to celebrate because you're handling firearms.
Which is huge.
And they don't want anyone to get too excited. Yippee!
No Yosemite Sam shooting in the air.
No, none of that. I didn't even really pay attention to the shooting events until this came along, and then I was looking at all this because you asked so many questions. You're like, what is the headgear? What is this going on in the like what are these weird glasses? And it's just like pull up this picture there, like this. I think this one showcases it pretty well. What you have on the left is a blinder, so that's just to prevent just so you can just completely close off that eye and not even like be tempted to open it a little bit. It's for aiming. The one on the right actually is not a monocle. It doesn't zoom in. It actually only closes off the periphery. So it's like a circle in front. So you only see your
so it's
target.
like, it's kind of like how horses have the blinders so that they don't see the stuff on the outside. There's no distractions.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is huge because there's a crowd. There's a lot of outside factors of movement and different things that could distract.
There's actually a very small crowd. The event space that they did the shooting events is actually very small, but it grew over the period of time when the shooting events were happening because everyone was like, holy shit, this looks awesome.
They also probably saw the people in the outfits and were like, what is that for?
Exactly.
What's going on?
So this pistol shooting events, they don't have these custom leather jackets. And there's a whole thing about the air rifle. Well, you should pull up the Widowmaker guy. Have you seen the Widowmaker guy? You know Widowmaker, right?
Yeah.
Overwatch, Widowmaker. Everyone out there knows Widowmaker. Widowmaker has like something going on with her spine because It's fully curved. Like there's a
air rifle Widowmaker.
Yeah. Well, let me see if I can find it. Yeah. So you see this pose?
Yeah.
For those who are watching on video, this may look familiar because tab over to that right one there. Look at Widowmaker's spine. When she's shooting, she holds that pose. That pose there, bent backwards like that. That's how she looks when she's shooting. Now, usually when the Olympic shooters stop aiming, they don't look like that, but they do that because they're trying to brace the gun as much as possible. So they've got their elbow attached to their hip to try to steady it as much as possible. And they wear these tight leather jackets so that it restricts their body movements so that they can, again, calm everything down. And here's something that they don't do in Olympic shooting events that I wish they did. You want to know how big that target is? 10 meters away, 30 feet away, more? It's this big.
Are you serious?
I'm not joking. Not joking.
Why don't they show that?
I don't know. Look up, like, let me find.
They also don't showcase how far it is in archery. They put the measurement on there, and it's like, what?
It's so much farther than it's so far. We need to put this in context because it's not fair.
Holy crap.
Yeah. See if you can show that. It is that small.
That's by the way, guys, that's not a tiny person holding that with their fingers. That's the fingers.
It is actually a pretty good analogy.
That's pretty dang close.
But it's a tiny circle in the center of this 30 feet away, and they are hitting bullseyes almost every time.
Technically more, it's 30 feet or 30 meters?
10 meters, 30 feet. The
little more
the
than
pistol,
30 feet.
The pistol event is 10 meters. I believe the air rifle event is even farther, and the target is even smaller. It was described as the bullseye in the air rifle target is a period in 12-point font, is equivalent to the size of a period on the essay you have to type up that you have ChatGPT write for you.
It says it's still 10 meters, so 11 yards, which would be 33 feet.
Yeah, so it is tiny.
That says air pistol, hold on. So apparently all shooting is done from prescribed distance, 10 meters, 25 meters, 50 meters.
All right, here, I have another video. This is not from a broadcast. This is from a fan just like taking a video, so they can't do shit about this.
Holy crap. I'm preemptively seeing this because I'm trying to drag it to the correct window.
So everyone, this is the actual distance. If you've watched any archery event, you usually see it straight on. They're aiming almost at the camera. You're like, oh, this is a cool angle. They fire, and then it lands, and that's it. This is the actual distance.
Yeah.
It's a football field away. They are shooting an arrow a football field away. When I'm watching it, I'm like, he didn't hit a bull. He got an 8. He needed a 10.
I know.
This idiot.
And the way they show it in there, they show just the target and just the person. I'm like, show the distance.
Show it going through the air.
Do a camera of the person over here, put a camera of the target over here, and then show the gap.
Even showing them shooting from behind would be amazing.
Oh my God, please, yes.
Because they're not shooting straight. They have to shoot in an arc.
Yeah.
They're hitting bullseyes when they're a football field away at an arc. It's mind-boggling.
It is, but you want to know what's crazy? Historically, Mongolians are the ones that were the best in archery. There are no Mongolians in the field of archers.
It's a damn shame.
It's unfortunate. It's because, they traveled all over, and so the blood is in everybody. Genghis Khan!
I don't know if that's a problematic statement or not. I hereby disassociate myself from Tyler in any way, shape, or form. And I would preemptively apologize to the Mongolian people. Although, they would probably still lose, especially on the women's side. The women's Korean archery team has not won gold for like 20 years.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, for the past, since like the 90s.
Why?
They've won gold.
This is actually a curiosity because I noticed there are a lot of Asians winning the golds in the shooting categories. And I'm fascinated by this because in the States, we have so many shootings.
Yeah, we are a very gun-obsessed culture, yes.
Why? I don't understand why we're the worst at shooting.
Attention, I believe.
Yeah?
Literally, I think that's probably what it is. It's attention. When I went to Korea, what I noticed is there are a lot of BB ranges just on the street. You go in the street. I did one, and I actually won a prize. I got a trip to Jeju Island, a plane ticket. That was one of the prizes. If you shoot out the full hole at the center of it, you get a plane ticket. Now, it's not that far. It's like $100 ticket, but still, it's like, that's pretty cool. Like, it's not bad.
my thing isn't about the prize. My thing is about you just being like, oh, no, I won the prize.
Yeah, my brother almost won it too. He was like off by one little sliver of the center target. He didn't cut it out all the way, but yeah, we did it. So it's like, I think it's just attention.
Yeah.
There isn't as much attention. And I guarantee you, after this Olympics, because of the attention on how badass the shooters look, it's going to lead more people to do it. Even I'm like, oh man, that would be cool to try. One of the competitors there, they only started training 2 years ago at the shooting event. And I'm not saying they're not talented. That's not what I'm not saying. The Korean shooters have done it for a long time. But when it comes to people coming into the sport, there were hardly any Americans. And you're totally right. We are actually a gun-obsessed culture, so it's like it could be more prevalent if people knew about it. And there's medals to win there, and they're not winning them. Although they would be hard-pressed to compete against the competition. The Koreans and like the Chinese team and the Turkish team, they're very competitive in there. But we're America. I think we could probably compete a little bit.
You know what I think it is?
What?
The Americans don't want to join it because there's too many safety regulations.
Yeehaw! Bang, 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 bang. Man, all right. Anyway, so yeah, the Olympics would definitely benefit. And yes, we're criticizing you. Oh, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Stupid.
Actually, we're criticizing the production.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which we, well, you more than me, but I feel like we're both qualified for.
Absolutely. Yeah. As much as people want to see like pressing the bow up against your face, like, yeah, I want to see what they're actually doing, which is shooting.
Yeah. You need the context.
Yeah.
Context is so important to understand all of the intricacies of a sport.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, football, blah, blah, blah. Until you actually see the size of these people, you see the actual measurables and compare them to the average person, like you don't understand it. When you just see a target and somebody shooting, it's like, oh, I could do that. Yeah. No, you can't.
If you had a gun to my head and told me to hit a target across a football field away, I'd start saying goodbye to all my families because I know I ain't doing that. It's not happening anyway.
One shot
across a football field.
No way I could do it.
Yeah, you got two in the Olympics. It's like best of 5.
I think it's 5
for archery, and then it's each person basically will get 2 shots per round. So you get 10 tries to get it, maybe to get anything. It doesn't even have to be a bullseye. I would not get it. I would not hit that target.
Actually, let me see what the individual. All right, so you shoot 10. Get 3 arrows each. You'll take turn shooting, and the person with the highest score wins the set. So all shots count. There's no dropping off them. So it's literally every shot matters.
Yeah, and then they got to pay attention to wind too. And it was particularly windy in Paris. Like they had a lot of problems with the wind sailing events. We could talk about that separately because that's a whole. I don't even know.
You're talking about how they toppled?
Yeah, everything. The sailing events were a nightmare. For everybody involved.
There was almost like a major collision.
I know. It was terrifying. I thought it was just like casual, but we'll get to it. We'll talk about it in a second. But they have to account for wind and everything. And they like, this is a football field away. They have a windsock there that's like, I gotta guess, hope it doesn't stop blowing right now.
Well, and also the wind is variable across the entire course. Yeah. It's not consistent. And that's no matter where you are in the world, even if you're in an open field, there's still slight differences in every measurable distance between you and your target.
Mm-hmm. If I had a rifle and you told me to hit a bullseye from across a football field, I'd be like, okay, I'll try. Like maybe I'll get it. With an arrow, no shot. Not a chance in the world. Yeah. And they're hitting this multiple times in a row. Bam, bam, bam.
And every shot counts. It's
counts.
Like, it's wild.
Wild. It's crazy. So the respect for it, because I was looking at the pistol event, I was like, 10 meters away, I could probably do that. Nah. It's the bullseye is my pupil on this 10 meters away, 33 feet.
I grew up shooting air rifles in the backyard with my dad.
Yeah.
Because they're just BB guns. I've shot 22s. I've done shotgun stuff, which actually I'm halfway decent at sporting clays, but that's a whole different thing.
That was a fun event too to watch.
Yeah, sporting clays are fun. But like even those, you have to account somewhat for wind, especially if you get into the longer disciplines, like the longer distances. Like 10 meters, probably not as much wind effect, but you get to the 50-meter one, Jesus.
And you mentioned the shooting clays. If anyone out there saw this, you know what I'm talking about. Their reaction time it boggles the mind to break it down for you. To hit this target it comes out at a random interval, maybe randomer is set, I can't remember.
Are you talking about trap shooting?
Trap shooting, the clays.
It shoots out from the box in the center? Yeah, that's trap.
And it's random, right? It's random direction.
It's oscillating up and down, and it's moving side to side.
So you are looking at a 90-degree arc in front of you, about 100 feet deep. This thing will shoot a random pink clay about like 6 inches in diameter.
They might actually be smaller for those clays.
They might even be smaller. And it shoots it as fast as a car on the highway. Yeah. It is going very fast. And these Olympic level athletes point a big shotgun at it, predict where it's going to be ahead of where they're shooting, fire all within the span of half a second. Half a second.
And I also
it's insane.
I also will say people like, oh, shotgun, it's got to spread. You do realize that in order for a shotgun to effectively break a clay, you have to tighten it down, which what is called a shotgun choke. And so that spread gets minimized, because if it's too big, it can just fall between the gaps, regardless of how good your aim is. So they probably have a really refined choke to keep that spread to a minimum, so that their shot still has to be insanely precise, insanely quick speed, and right mark, and anticipating the flight speed unchanged since you pulled the trigger, your reaction time, to then be able to still be in the pathway of that insanely fast clay.
Imagine you were playing duck hunt, right?
Yes.
You're playing duck hunt. The duck comes out in a random position, right? Imagine that duck would be off screen in a second. Flap, 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 gone. That's how fast you have to hit it. Oh, also, you're 50 feet away from the screen. And the winner, the guy who got the gold medal, hit it 48 out of 50 times. He missed twice. The silver medal winner missed 5 times. This guy who got gold, I think he might have missed 6 times. This guy who only missed twice is so good. Like, he's a fucking machine. Just, I would never want to cross that guy. I would be gone so fast.
The other thing, it's out of 50, right?
Yeah, 50.
There's 5 different stations.
Yeah, that's right.
They rotate between being on the far left, and you get
oh yeah, I forgot about that part of it.
So you're at each station twice.
Yeah, so you have to change your perspective.
So you start basically, there's a draw to see where you start. The middle is the easiest because you can see the whole angle. When you're on the far left, you're seeing them more run across your vision as opposed to out and away. Out and away is a lot easier to hit because you can it changes the dimensions, so you don't have to just adjust for height as much as the direction as you do for height. But there's still that factor, and they can curve, they can do numerous things. So you go through each station, and it's not like you sit in one station and do all your shots in one station. You do 2, rotate 2, rotate 2, rotate 2, rotate 2.
It's stunning. It's stunning what they're able to do. Like, when you take it all back to where all of this really comes from is humans' ability for hand-eye coordination. Now, they don't have a throwing event where it's like you throw and hit a target, but that's like the fundamental basis of like humans. You know, we had arrows way back when, but it was really, if you look up some old hunting techniques, it's you take a very nice throwable stick and you go, and it can hit a bunny that popped its head up from like 30 feet away. That's the basis of human. It's hunting. Yeah. We as humans have insane ability to throw things. It's an evolutionary advantage that no other thing can compete. Monkeys can throw poop. Humans can throw like nobody. Baseball is like the perfect example of it. Football is a great example of it, but baseball is like a perfect example of it.
Well, even like disc golf or discus, shot put. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so many different throws.
Javelin, it's all crazy, the level of precision with which humans are able to execute an idea. The idea being, I want to hit that thing across the field. And I wanted to hit it perfectly in its pupil. Bang. It'll happen. There's someone that can do that. It's crazy to think about.
It's the first sport. Rock. Me throw a rock further than you throw a rock.
We're in the history portion of the throwing primer.
Ooh, stick.
Yes.
Me stick go farther than you stick.
Me ancient Roman. Cavicus. Me throw a rock harder than you. Boulderus. You bitch. Me throw better than you. All comes back to the Romans, everybody.
Spiritus. Me throw a spear farther than you.
Oh, me make fire. Me take fire here on stick fire. Run that fire over there. Start game.
Fire, 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 fire.
That's the Olympics, a history of the torchbearer. Yeah, but that's it.
The original firemen were building fires, not putting them out.
It's true. Don't question it. It's true. Anyway, what were you saying about shooting?
I was talking about the rotation and the fact that you have
at the beginning
spots.
of all of this, I interrupted something and then I got on a wild tangent about Kim Yeji and all this stuff. What were you saying? Oh, we were starting the episode. Wait,
yes. I don't think we ever finished the intro.
Right. Yeah. So this is Go, my favorite sports team, where we talk about sports. For those that do know sports and those that do not know sports, Tyler over there, he's a sports knower. I try to relate it on a human level, and we all learn together. You were talking about this Turkish guy, though.
Okay, so there's this Turkish shooter, Yusuf. I don't know how to say his last name. Yusuf. He came into the Olympics, and you see all the shooters with all that gear, like the shooter you showed me. He showed up, didn't want to wear the gear, didn't want to do any of that. Sticks his left hand in his pocket, t-shirt and jeans, baby. He gets a silver medal. Like, there's no blinder on his eye. He's wearing his glasses. He's casual. And a lot of people, there's been so many memes about this dude because apparently in his interview, he's like, oh yeah, I just, I was asked to do this and my wife told me I should do it. So I went and did it.
That is definitely not what the whole story is. People want to attribute it being super casual. I just sent you another picture from Kim Yeji just to prove the hand in the pocket thing actually is the stance.
Yes.
It's the stance you take because it allows you the most balance. I just also wanted to show this because of the elephant toy. She always carries this elephant toy. I think it's just really adorable.
That's cool.
Yeah, I know, right? Also badass. She didn't even win. I want to point this out. In the individual rounds, she didn't win, but she got so much more attention. Her teammate down there won gold. Both incredible shooters. It was like neck and neck, point decimals between the winners there. And she actually squeaked by with a great shot over someone else. She needed like 1.1 points more. She got 1.1 points more exactly, and she got by. It was either her or someone else. I can't remember, but. These the pose there and the casualness of it is good. The reason they do the thing is because humans are able to focus distance, but they do it by squinting. Squinting actually presses the cornea, so it flexes it so that it can focus on a farther distance than it would otherwise. It's how if you don't have glasses on, you can squint and kind of see a little bit. I got eye surgery. I don't need to do that anymore. My eyes are perfect and incredible and amazing.
Mine aren't. I had eye surgery too.
So I told you to get Smile.
I can't. I didn't qualify. My corneas were too thin. Because the shape of my cornea was so weird.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Somehow my cornea is thicker on the top than the bottom when normally your eye, as you blink over time, pushes that thickness to the lower part of your cornea. But mine was thicker up top, which made them go, you could get keratoconus, which is when your eye just protrudes out and it becomes a massive, horrible astigmatism.
All right. Well, that answers that question and gave everyone nightmares.
Yeah, you're welcome.
The reason he wasn't using it is because he has a technique where he wants to see with both eyes. Some shooters believe that you can see better if you have both eyes open than if you didn't. And I actually kind of agree with it. I don't have much experience shooting, but I'm strange because I'm left eye dominant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right-handed, left eye dominant. So if I whenever I was at a shooting range or something like that or
you're doing a weird crossover technique.
I have to go lean farther over because I need my left eye to be there in judging. But I keep both eyes open because I've noticed even if I look at something right eye, when you're doing text charts, I see clearer with both eyes open than I do each individual eye. See, it's to each their own, and I think like just his eyes work differently that way. Not saying he's not badass.
No. The other reason why shooters close one eye has to do with the fact that when you have both eyes open, there's that overlap, right? So you have two different angles that are showing you one thing. So it's harder for people to understand the exact straight line based on a gun's perspective without closing one eye, which usually is their dominant eye, which is my right eye, even though I'm mixed-handed, but I throw left-handed, which is actually really good for football, but that's beside the point. By closing that eye, you follow the exact straight path of the one eye because the reason you have two eyes is how you're able to see depth.
Uh-huh.
So you can see the different depth of like a person's face.
Mm-hmm.
When you close one eye, it makes things flatter because you don't have the multiple perspectives to create that 3D-esque image from your eyeballs.
And I've always found it to be helpful. Like when I'm playing VR shooting games, I played a lot of Pistol Whip. It's like I know that some people play where they're looking down the sights, but I think to get really good at it, you have to not do that. You have to train yourself to be able to shoot and not look at where you're shooting. You have to know that your gun is going to be aimed down at someone up there. The only way to get the highest scores is to do that because they're so fast that you have to.
Well, and I feel that same way with Super Hot. I definitely keep both eyes open with that, and you're just moving it around to shoot that.
It might also be VR. You need both eyes open to have the effect happen. You could look at it with one eye. It's not going to be a problem, but it just looks very different considering like it's an illusion in the first place. I don't know. To each their own, and I think for him, 2 eyes open is how he's done it. I believe he was in either the military or some kind of.
He could be a hitman.
I think he might have been. Who knows?
Look,
and
this is what I was thinking. They were saying that he is John Wick, but he has a cat. And so they found on his social media that he loves this cat. And so, like, God help us if somebody messes with that cat. So there's been a lot of stuff talked about with this Turkish shooter just because he seems so casual about it from the untrained eye. Obviously, the hand in the pocket technique is normal, and he didn't wear the other stuff, but that's what he knows, and that's his technique.
Yeah, and it should be said, he won silver in the team event. He was actually the high scorer of anybody in that team event. It's just that his partner shot marginally less well. It was like the mixed gender team, so it was like man, women paired. And even though he scored the highest, it was like he got a 153 versus her 148.
Right.
Which is like over the course of the entire like competition, which is like 20-something shots, she got a total of like 5 points less, I believe.
Yeah, so he's 51 years old. This made me laugh because it's like the way that they create these guns, because that was the other thing I wanted to point out in that image you showed me. That barrel is abnormally long for a pistol.
Yeah.
These guns are absurdly specialized.
Yeah.
Absurdly specialized. Like I'm imagining, for one, the grip is way wider than a normal hand grip for a pistol. And the reason for that is because then when you close your hand further, you have less control. And you also are flexing more muscles in your forearm. If you have a wider grip, you can be more relaxed and more stable to be able to hold the weapon. The other thing is they're probably customized to their hands specifically, so the way they're holding it is different. Like if you look at the thumb location here, you can see that there's a deep groove in which their hand fits in so that it rests and is almost like entirely wedged onto their hand.
Yeah, this is something that you talk about a lot in a lot of the primers, is like the specialization of equipment. And some people, like I meme on it all the time, and because it's like I don't need to know the exact width of the sled blades in the skeleton versus the bobsled, but that's just because it is specialized for that. And it gets specialized because people want to push it even farther, and to push a sport even farther than it was before, you have to specialize the equipment that is being used with. And for this, like, yeah, you just have this crazy thing. That's why you got the jackets that make you do the Widowmaker pose.
Yeah,
that's why it makes your ass look great. But you know, it's meant for that specific reason.
I also noticed that these uniforms, a lot of the uniforms we see in the Olympics are usually big brands, Nike and stuff like that. That's the Fila symbol.
Yeah, I think that just might be her jacket.
It might be.
I think the shooting sports don't have many sponsorships, so I think
that's the other thing.
That's why the guy's in a t-shirt, because they don't have anyone providing them with anything.
Well, that gets into a different story I brought up, is Flavor Flav. He sponsored the men's and women's.
We should absolutely talk about
team.
this, yeah, because that was huge. I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
and that was great, because what the post was saying was that this one woman was saying that she couldn't afford to go to the Olympics.
No, they were a lot of people, especially on the women's team and the men's team too, were working multiple jobs to try and make enough money to go to the Olympics.
For those who don't know, you would think this would be the case, but it's not. Not all Olympic athletes are paid to go to the Olympics. The U.S. government or the U.S. Olympic Committee or team management, they do not pay the athletes as employees. Don't give them a stipend. Some of them they do, because they're high, value enough. They bring more reputation. But a medal is a medal, and they have a chance to in competition. But the U.S. and many other countries don't pay for them.
So some countries do, because they bring them into what is categorized as a military training. Mm-hmm. So they are a subsect of the military to represent the country in the Olympics. That's something that Russia did way back in the day, back when they were the USSR. I don't know if that continues to this day, but that's some ways that countries are able to pay the athletes, is by having them inside their military payment process. which also blows my mind because the U.S. spends the most money on military, and why are the athletes not paid to go to the Olympics when in a level sort of way, the way the Olympics are designed, it can create avenues of peace. Like going back to the ancient games, they would stop war for the Olympic Games. I think that should be brought back. I really do. I think peace talks.
It's just that
sports,
simple, everybody.
Just bring it back. Stop
hey,
the war.
Guys, come on. It's the Olympics. Just stop.
Just stop.
Yep. All right. We solved it, everybody. We got it. But what Flava Flav did, which I haven't even heard the name in years.
I haven't either. Since like Flava of Love, that was like in high school.
Oh
my
my God, that was so long ago. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But he sponsored the entire women's team, paid
And
for
the
them to
men's
get
team.
out there, and the men's team.
Yeah.
Oh, well, good for
the
that.
entire U.S. Olympic water polo teams were sponsored by Flava Flav.
And that's great. That's fantastic. Is there something we could sponsor?
That's the thing I was going to bring up, because this is the most fascinating thing. Is I didn't realize this myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been embedded in the sports world for a long time. Is like there are so many different athletes or teams or different things that just don't have the funds or are forced to pay their own way. And even when they win, winning a gold or winning a medal gets you some monetary value in different countries. The U.S. pays them dog shit and then taxes them on top of their medal bringing it home.
Well, I mean, that's his income.
But that's
That's how it is. Let's be
no,
honest.
it makes sense. But also, a lot of these athletes pay their way to go there, and then they come back.
And I've heard such sad stories where Olympic athletes who've won gold even have had to sell their
medals.
Yeah, it's so sad.
But seeing people like Flava Flav step up, I think Snoop Dogg even sponsored some athletes.
He was holding the torch.
Oh, he's been like a mascot for the Olympics this year. It's been so cool to see him around doing stuff.
I love the Olympics. I'm so glad there are more people. Some people get cynical and they're like, oh man, the Olympics ended. Like the city hosting it always gets there. But every year, the Olympics are so fun to watch. They're so fun. It's so inspirational. I love that it happens. As problematic as it is, you can't deny the chance for human excellence is so rare. It's so rare. Why not celebrate it every once in a while? It's such a beautiful thing. There's so many heartbreaking stories. There's so many heartwarming stories. That's human nature too. It's like you get the good with the bad. The yin and the yang is all part of it. You need the win and the loss. You need the struggle. You need the competition. And that's what sports offers most of the time. A lot of people alienate themselves from that competitive aspect. I don't do a lot of competitive online games because I don't like being angry, and I try to moderate that part of me. But on a bigger scale, I still appreciate the human spirit that comes with these competitions and the level of excellence that it pushes. It's what Climber Man, who we
Alex
interviewed,
Honnold.
Alex Climber guy.
Climber Man. You know what? I feel like we should create that, trademark that, give it to Alex Honnold as a gift, and be like, you can now make Climber Man merch.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Anyway, so Climber Man, when he was saying he likes seeing the excellence, I don't agree with him when it comes down to like not rooting for the underdog. Like,
Right.
I want to root for the underdog. Yeah, they're gonna lose, but maybe not. But I do appreciate, like, you want to see excellence. You want to see someone push that bubble. You want to see someone cross the finish line just a little bit sooner. Race walking, maybe I don't want to see as much.
The hips really work, man. The hips really work.
I can accept race walking. If you guys don't know about race walking, you probably do, because it's well known because people make fun of it a lot. I won't say for good reason, but it's kind of for good reason.
It's kind of funny to watch.
The other problem I have with race walking is not necessarily, I can get behind the technique for it. I can get behind like, low impact stuff. All of them are cheating. Every one of them is cheating. The rules are not being enforced. There was a lot of people that were talking about this after the fact. It's like, I actually would enjoy this. I did enjoy watching it. It was a fascinating exercise. But the problem was they declared what the rules were, and they had a system to like warn people. There were yellow flags and then there were red flags. No one actually got penalized. Yeah. No one actually got punished. And the last lap, when everyone's sprinting toward the finish, all of them were running. Every one of them was running, and no one called anyone out for it because they were all competing. And I get it. They're like, how do we stop them? Like, are we going to say, no, you who crossed, you were running? But they were all running. So it turns into a competition where it's like you have to get away with as much as possible. Right. You can't be honorable because everyone's cheating.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Race walking, I believe one of the rules is both feet have to be on the ground before like the other foot lifts. Or
something like that. It's like you got to lock the leg. It's basically you have to not be running, and there's very specific definitions for it. But everyone pushes the rules because it's not natural to do this motion. It's not it's not a natural gait that humans do. It is unnatural. It's a technique. But even then, it's like it's so easy to slip into running because you want to do it. Your body wants to do it. You want to go fast. You want to go faster, and your body's like, I know a way to go faster. Just let me go faster.
Just unleash the trot.
It is hilarious that someone at a leisurely jog would beat them, and you know that when you're race walking is like, oh, I know I could go just so much faster if I just shit.
You know what it is? It's like they're trying to be like horses again. It's because the horse. You got your walk, you got your trot, you got your canter, and you got your gallop.
You know, the only way to make it super official, you can play this video if you want. The only way to make it super official is they have to wear braces on their knees that keep them straight-legged the whole time. That's the only other way.
Look at them. Look at those hips move.
I know. I'm fine with the hips. The hips are fine. I don't mind. Oh,
here's the diagram. Apparently some dude talking about it, but this is like the mechanics. This is like how it works. And what's supposed to happen. Like your heel's supposed to hit before your back leg lifts off the ground.
I'm going to try this.
All right. Do you have enough pathway to be seen?
How do I? Yeah, I got it.
All right. Come back to us, Mark. Look at you go. Look at you go. Look at that. There he is, the man himself, proving we're in the same room. Please don't break anything. Specifically yourself. Oh my God. That stare into the camera was glorious.
I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good.
Yeah, you get a sweat going. You start sweating it all.
Maybe I did. You see, the thing is, you think that your knees would explode. It actually doesn't hurt at all. But I only did it for a little bit, not 20 kilometers. So I don't know how it is long term. Did we talk about Steven Nedorowski?
We have not. We did in the last episode. We talked about him briefly in the last episode. So
anyway, yeah. So race walking, fascinating sport.
Fascinating sport.
I believe it could be better.
Dude, I still can't. It just fascinates me. Going back to the Flav thing, the only reason he found out about that was somebody posted online, and somehow he happened to see it. Was somebody talking about the amount of hours they're working and trying to train for the Olympics and stuff like that. I don't know if somebody shared it with him or something, but he actually went and joined the practice for the women's water polo team. And they were raving about him because he jumped in the pool. He said, give me the ball. He got it and he threw it. That's how they described it. I watched this video on it. And I was like, how cool is that just to show up and be like, I want to learn about this, jump in the pool and do it. Something I've wanted to do with the podcast.
Oh, but I couldn't. I could never. No. I'm busy that day.
Yeah. But it's still like, that's how he found out about it. And so many more people because of that, more people are looking at water polo again. Tony Acevedo, who we had on our podcast, was there as a commentator for the Olympics, for the water polo events.
That's great. Good.
The biggest thing he's talked about is how he wants to bring water polo more to the forefront. He wants people to recognize it. He wants to create a professional water polo like league. He wants people to be able to do kind of like what they do for soccer or football or other things, where people can go and watch this, because it is the most intense sport that I have ever experienced. It's been voted multiple times in the Olympics as the world's toughest team sport with relation to endurance, physicality, and a number of other factors. And I was watching, I found a TikTok and it made me laugh, was this guy, his girlfriend was watching the water polo events on the Olympics.
Yeah.
And she was like, how do they do that? How do they tread? And he leans back and he does the eggbeater kick, which Tony and I were talking about on the episode we had him on, was how you kick to be able to stay above water and to be able to elevate and be able to throw.
No, thank you. I'm good. But it should get more attention. Did they already do the water polo events?
I don't know if they're all over, but water polo was pretty early on. A lot of people were talking about all that's on is water polo. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome.
That's fair though. Yeah. The only other event that we haven't talked about that I saw recently was a lot of the sailing events.
Yes.
And I don't know if we can show footage of this, but there was actually, this is like something about the water events. Like there was a problem even this year with a false start on the timer for the triathlon. But last year there was a triathlon problem where there was a boat last Olympics, a boat still in front of all the swimmers when they went.
Yeah.
Someone almost got hit by that boat. This year with one of the wind sailing events, I forget which one, windsurfing or there's another, I forget all the names for it, but
The sailboat?
yeah. So it wasn't the sailboat one. I believe it was windsurfing. So they all have to start on a line that is delineated by 2 buoys, right? These buoys are very far apart, like a football field or more apart, and there's a line there. So when they have to time it,
when the timer goes,
they have to cross the line. They cannot cross the line before the timer goes, and they obviously can't sit at the line because they need to be going. And
it's also an invisible line to them. It's not painted in the water or anything.
Yeah.
It's you connect it with your eyes between these 2 buoys.
And so when they went this time, there was a speedboat gunning it across the front of it. It came within maybe a foot of hitting a lot of these people because it was cutting straight across where the line was. I think it was supposed to be like the go boat, like go now. But some of these boats had to swerve out of the way, just missing it by that much. Maybe you could pull up like, let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, I was trying to find it myself and I didn't.
Okay, either way. It was a very close call. We couldn't show it anyway because it would get taken down immediately. But it was just like, not only that was a problem, but it was either too windy or no wind at all. It was nothing in between for a lot of these events. They had to like delay an event for hours until it was like suitable for what they were trying to do. Some of these sports like windsurfing, I don't even understand how the physics of it really works. The way they have to like ride it, get momentum, and then when they lose it, they cut across, get the wind, but they're like pumping the sail back up, and then like aha, and then they start floating up out of the water. I'm like, I don't know what kind of magic they're doing.
Massive fin.
It's so strange the way that they slow down. They're like, shit, yeah, and then they're like, yeah, and then they cut back and they go right as far as they can, and then they're like, shit.
It's because that bottom has such a fin in it. When you're moving back and forth like that, you're jostling and creating much like a flipper to push it up, because if you lose that, you will sink. So that's why they're doing that pumping motion, is so that it keeps that above water. The other thing, do you know if that was happening in the Tahiti as well?
I don't know about Tahiti. I didn't hear.
I know surfing's in Tahiti.
Can you pull up that picture?
Oh,
there's a great picture of the surfing event. There's this one guy, like, it's a fantastic picture. But no, I didn't really watch a lot of those events, so I didn't know if there was any problems with those. That's a good one. Gabriel Medina. Just a great picture.
Well, he also scored the highest score in Olympic history in surfing when this picture was taken. That run before this picture was the highest score in Olympic history, which is why he was so proud. But like, he launched, I don't know if you saw the process of the picture.
I think I did.
So he finished his run, he ramps off the back of the wave, because that's, if you have a clean run, that's usually what you do, because it's like, you don't want to land on that reef, which, by the way, is only like a foot below water. And so he launches off the back and just raises his fist in the air perfectly straight, and the surfboard just mirrored him.
It's
perfectly.
It's magical. It's such a beautiful photo. I love it so much.
So beautiful.
The photographer who got that was like, yes,
yeah,
oh, yeah.
He absolutely splurged. It was orgasmic. He was like, my magnum opus, everything erupted.
I got it the first time, man. He splurged. I don't even know if that's a euphemism for it, but I get you, man.
It would be splooged. I said it wrong.
Stop talking. Stop talking. Cease.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, but it's a beautiful photo. The other thing is, I think winds picked up in Tahiti, and there were actually a bunch of injuries in later events because of the crazy reefs. For those of you that don't know, like Tahiti, in order for waves to happen, there's usually a sandbar or a reef that causes the waves to turn over themselves, which is why surfing can be so dangerous, is because usually the water gets shallow. And so in Tahiti, there's this reef, and we'll talk more about this later because there's a lot of other ramifications with what happened with this reef. But there's a person in the surfing community who wears coral safe shoes and stands on that reef to let them know where it is. Because if you hit that reef, no matter how good you are, it can be deadly.
It's going to rip you apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
it's just rocks at that point. It's just like hitting rocks.
Yeah. But it's crazy seeing a guy stand on top of it and have waves crash over his legs. And it looks like he's standing in the abyss. It's insane.
Weird.
But yeah, that's the crazy thing about the surfing in Tahiti, because winds also picked up. There were some injuries and some various things happened that they had to pause the event for some time. And also, we were talking about the was it the men's pentathlon that swam in the the river.
The triathlon did.
Yeah, the triathlon. It was the men's triathlon.
Yeah.
It got delayed because of bad levels in the river, and they still had to swim in it after the fact, and it had just gotten down to what was considered safe enough, I guess. And that the dude finished and he was hurling.
Yeah.
Like, it was bad.
It was terrible. It was truly terrible. I don't know why they thought that would have been a good idea. I think there will be some health ramifications after that. Look,
there might be some lawsuits.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course there would be, because that river definitely was not safe to go into. And that's not saying, like, I'm not an insult to the Parisians. I wouldn't really want to swim in the Ohio River. Yeah, and I love Cincinnati. It's fine, but I don't want to go swimming in it. But that's not even comparatively bad, because Paris is such a more hyperdense city. Yeah, and historically has been there a lot longer time for pollutants to get in there.
It's literally the understanding that is where all the water from Paris runs to. So when it rains, all the streets, everything, anything that's on there will flow into that spot. And so it's impossible for them to keep it clean. You could clean it. The problem was it won't stay clean.
You could dredge the bottom for years and it wouldn't be completely clean.
Which is part of why I think the Parisians were protesting it, because it was futile in the understanding of how everything works in Paris, that they are wasting this money because it's just going to get dirty again.
Are you saying that I was wrong in the last episode? It wasn't necessarily that they were just protests.
I think that might be the reason.
It was to be like, for some people who are safety conscious, being like, there's no point in this. It's a bad idea.
That's me just critically thinking, understanding how the water flows in Paris. That's possibly why, is because they felt it was a waste of money because it wasn't going to stay clean.
It's possible. I don't know for sure, but if I knew that Olympic athletes would have to go in a city river that I knew was bad, I would also be like, maybe not. Maybe don't do that. That
could have been it too.
Why couldn't they have gone to Tahiti for the triathlon? Why couldn't they have done it in Tahiti?
Well, then they'd have to live on that cruise ship. Did you hear about the cruise ship?
No.
Oh, so the majority of the Olympians are on this cruise ship. Which, if you know anything about cruise ships, it's basically I can't go on a cruise ship because I'm immunosuppressed. Because there's no escape from a cruise ship. It festers bacteria massively. So illnesses, it's impossible to escape. It's fast spreading because everyone's using a lot of shared space. Granted, it's the same thing with in the city too. If they're all going to the same place. But this is like so isolated, and it's almost impossible to staff it well enough, to clean it well enough, because there's ways to get rid of stuff on land that you can't do on a ship. So like being able to clean up is limited in that factor in and of itself. But apparently some of the US swimmers, because they had friends in Tahiti, or surfers, I should say, are in like some of the huts on the island and stuff like that.
Well, either way, I think that they maybe should have, done something a little bit more safe.
Yeah.
But, what can you do?
Well, LA is going to be hosting it. And the greatest thing about LA in the future is LA kind of has already all of the structures needed for the events. The problem they have is infrastructure.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So
not prepared for that.
Transportation.
For sure. But actually the public transportation system has been improving and people are not using it, is not nearly at capacity. So the metro in LA, not many people even know that it's up and running and able to be used, but it's perfectly functional. There aren't buses really that go to it. There are buses, but compared to a city that actually has good, transportation, the bus system is a little bit lacking.
They're always late.
But I bet they will ramp it up during that time.
I think so too. I don't know if we talked about this, why I think Europe has better infrastructure than the US does. I think it's because so much was destroyed during the World Wars. So they had the space open up for them to build the rail systems.
I'm not so sure. I wouldn't really trust that, because they had rail lines before the World War.
And they were destroyed during the war.
And they kind of just rebuilt it in the same places. I think that Europe's benefit is that they have so many neighboring countries, like inter-country trade is extremely important, and rail infrastructure works exponentially better not having to go extreme distances. People often underestimate how big the United States is. That is a very technical challenge when it comes to infrastructure.
and the privatization of rail in the United States that is at the forefront of rail's existence.
Yeah, that is a completely good point. It is also like such a big thing to tackle. There's so many reasons why rail is not prevalent in America, one of which being cars, and two of which being size, and three of which being regulations and privatization and shit like that. Yeah, many reasons.
But anyway, that's beside the point. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Olympic Stories, I guess, is what I'm calling it. Stories around the Olympics.
The Olympic, the badasses of the Olympics.
The Olympic badasses. If you want to sport some fantastic merch, sporting your sport knowledge, sportliness, go to store.gmfst.com. Beautiful foam finger. There you can take to any event. I don't think they're banned in any event. Actually,
no, they have not. Yeah, shocking. They're not banned.
They're not banned.
Weird.
And then there's the iFinger sports hat. It's not blue. It's the OG with the red Velcro strap, much like this one. Go check that out. And we have the GMFST Athletic Department shirt. Go check that out. Give it a purchase. Give it a like. Give it a follow. I don't know what you can do with merch other than buy it. But and then if you want to give us episode ideas, give us news, particularly now. I think that's a great idea, using the Reddit to get world news, because we're based in the US. US news focuses on stuff happening in the US. So getting stories about sports and different things outside the US would be great. It has been difficult because I have tried to search for it for us to find news outside the States. So if you have news or stories you would like us to talk about, share it on the Reddit, reddit.com/r/GMFST. If I screwed up, yell at me. Go for it. J'accuse me. That's on the Reddit as well. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.